Welcome to the 6th episode of the Illegal Use of Hands, Hands to the Face podcast. How you doing, Jake?
I'm doing great, Hayden. How are you?
Tremendous, as per usual. We've got a really fun topic to discuss today, so I'm excited, and I think we disagree a lot, so that makes for great content, so that's always an exciting part of the conversation, if you disagree a ton.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into a screaming match with you.
Yes. There's nothing quite like taking a Friday evening to really just let your friend know how wrong they are.
Yes, especially something as important as this.
Yeah, I agree, and I'd say let's talk about some news, but literally nothing is happening right now. So we haven't talked in 4 days, and nothing has happened.
Today the Texans just started releasing people willy-nilly, but
Oh, who'd they release? Was that in recent hours?
yes. Nick Martin, Duke Johnson, yeah, I think just those two guys as of now, but they're planning on releasing more, I believe is what I read.
Well, listen, I don't really care about Nick Martin at all, but Duke Johnson, that man has the best hands out of any running back in the league. So if you're looking for a pass catcher out of the backfield, maybe that's your guy.
Yeah, the Texans really fumbled the ball here, though. Having two running backs, D Johnson, they're not going to be able to confuse the competition anymore. So that David Johnson trade is now starting to look bad.
Yeah, it wasn't before, but now it's really yikes.
Yeah.
All right, here, I think I'll let you do it this week. Please describe what we're talking about today.
So our topic for today, for Friday, is going to be
Podcast coming out Saturday.
podcast coming out Saturday. We're discussing this on Friday. Top 20. How do you want to phrase this? Scrambling quarterbacks.
Oh, that's why I'm letting you phrase it.
Top 20 best quarterback legs in NFL history.
Yeah, that's our very generic topic, and we're basically allowed to make the definition whatever we want, so that's why it's probably going to be pretty fun to see how different our lists come out to be.
Yeah, I think I went in more of a different route than you did, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I kind of wrote some things about how I picked my guys and chose what I did, but first thing I'll say is that there were some guys on my list that I was thinking about putting on there initially, and then I was like, well, they kind of were kind of on the line of if they weren't quarterbacks. So, guys like Terrell, Pryor, and Cordell Stewart, even though they played quarterback at times, they played enough of other positions that I didn't really want to classify them as exclusively quarterbacks. So I kept my list to people that are exclusively quarterbacks. And then the other thing I did, which probably wasn't amazing to do, is I really did make it so that you had to basically be at least slightly competent as a passer. If you literally were going in there as quarterback and basically going 0 for 25 on your passes, I wasn't going to put you on the list. But I also didn't make bad quarterback play that much of a negative. I still tried to rate my list in terms of how great I think these guys would all actually do running with the football on an even playing field.
Okay. I wouldn't same way as you. I kind of looked at if you were a competent passer, you kind of had to be not well-rounded but serviceable and also fun to watch. But I mainly just was, if I wanted to have a running quarterback, these are the guys that I'd want in this order.
Okay, yeah, that's what I did too. And the thing that maybe I sort of missed in the last piece of what we said is that I really want to make it clear that I did even though I had those initial things that they had to be check boxes for, my whole list is based off running after that. So
Yeah.
like, so like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to give an example because they'll just see.
Well, why don't you give an example right now with number 20 on your list?
Okay, so I have I have this thing. Um, I put my list into 3 tiers because
Mm-hmm.
I felt like there's a lot of guys, especially not 20, but 19 through 17, where it's like almost these 3 guys are almost like the same player in some respects, and I'm just like, well, they probably all could do like the same exact thing at the same level. So I didn't really want to rate them too much differently. So the tier is more important to me than the actual number because the number, like, you could argue that guys should be moved up and down, except for my top 5. I think I have my top 5 in the right order, but because that's my top tier. My second tier is 6 through 12, and my bottom tier is 13 through 20. But yeah, this bottom tier is like these guys basically 20 to 13 could be fluctuated all over the place, and I really wouldn't have a problem with that, but I think they're like the bottom tier of the best running quarterbacks ever. Okay. So with that, I'll lead in at number 20. We have Vince Young, a young man who did not pan out very well as a actual passing product. And you know what's funny is how many exciting games Vince Young was a part of as in his time with the Titans. Even though he was never able to really turn it into anything great for his career, he did have a lot of exciting moments. And I don't know, it's just weird that nothing ever really came together there perfectly. But I think the aspects for him as a quarterback were, in terms of running, that he was really good at were just he was pretty fast, just straight line speed. And he was able to maneuver himself a little bit. So a little bit of elusiveness, but not a terribly large amount. And I think that's kind of what holds him back, is that he wasn't really much of an all around type of runner. He was really like a lot of straight line speed, and then I may also be discounting him just for the fact that his quarterback play, in terms of throwing the ball, really never got up there too much.
Yeah, that's so I can't really argue with that. You know, it's towards the bottom of your list and everything. So, yeah, Vince Young was electric, but he uh short circuited, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Uh,
So do you want to say, after I name a guy, and then I'll let you do 2 in a row now, like we were doing with our last lists and stuff. Do you want to say that we like just say whether or not that same guy is on your own list?
yeah, sure.
So like whoever you say for your number 20, then I'll say whether or not he's on my list.
Yes. Vince Young is not on my list.
Oh, okay. Well, he's all the way at the bottom of mine, so I'm not too upset about that yet.
Uh, for number 20 for me, I've got Greg Landry.
No, I, I,
The
I I watched a little of him. He's not on my list. Go ahead.
he proves that Detroit kills careers, because he could be in the same conversation as Fran Tarkenton if he didn't play for the Lions. If the Lions' curse of just ruining the careers of anyone that steps foot in that building did not exist, Greg Landry would be in the same conversation as Fran Tarkenton. Ran for 9 touchdowns in 72, which kind of unheard of at the time. It's wild and he was a straight quarterback. Didn't I watched a thing explaining him coming into the NFL. He wasn't even athletic. He was like a farm boy, and they wanted him to, or he played like defense or something. They wanted him to play quarterback. They put him there. He was just supposed to be some stupid farm boy, and he had so much speed and elusiveness. Gets 9 touchdowns in one season. It was wild. I loved watching highlights on him.
Could you imagine like a recent player coming into the draft like, yeah, I'm a defensive back. Like the one position change we still get is like you get the really athletic college quarterback who's like not playing at an extremely high level, and then he moves to a new position and comes into the NFL, and usually he's like a more towards the bench guy if he makes a roster. Could you imagine if we had I don't know anything about prospects this year, but could you imagine if like Asante Samuel Jr. he's coming out as a corner, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Could you imagine if he came out now and just was like, yeah, well, there's a lot of teams that want me to play quarterback, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's wild, and it's so sad that this man only got to the playoffs once, and that's just Detroit.
Well,
that is just Detroit.
The Lions have that. I remember hearing about it when I was a kid, but I really don't know if people have stopped mentioning it. But it's basically like the Lions won't win a championship until this thing happens, and like some guy left their team and said that as his parting words or something. Or was I thinking? Am I thinking of a different team?
No, you're thinking of the right team. I've heard that too. I don't know who said it though.
I don't know. I was looking at a lot of old quarterbacks for these teams though too. Was it Bobby Lane, or was it somebody even before him, or something else?
I don't. I think it was someone before him.
Well, here, let me see if I can find it quick. Do you have anything else to say about Greg Landry?
For being 6'4" and that mobile
Wow, he
at
was
the time.
6'4". Yeah, that's
yeah, he
tall
was
for
6'4"
them.
and that mobile. It's wild.
I mean, it's really weird that. Just thinking, I mean, whenever I think of like that's like Abe Lincoln type things with it, where it's like I just can't believe 6'5" for the time period just sounds so insane, and it's like 6'4" for the NFL in that time just sounds insane to me too, because I just think of it more like a bunch of average Joes. And yes, the curse was from Bobby Lane. So there it is. Who's number 19 on your list?
Number 19 on my list is a guy that I didn't really know could run the ball until I looked it up, and that's Roger Staubach.
Okay, yeah, I saw him too, but I didn't feel like he qualified enough really either. I didn't like his running ability enough to put him on my list. So he's not on my list.
I feel like I kind of gave most of the guys on my list that are older the benefit of, oh, you played at a time where running the ball as a quarterback wasn't really that common, so I'm gonna give you a pass for doing it like a dork, which Roger Staubach did. It was like Steve. He ran not as elusive like that Steve Young run, but just as so without grace as that Steve Young run every single time he took off.
So a complete mess.
Yes, it was a hot mess every time he tried to run, but he wouldn't be denied. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons in a row with 3 or more rushing touchdowns. That's pretty wild for mid-70s.
You say 5 seasons with 3 or more?
Yes, 5 seasons in a row with 3 or more.
All right. I mean, I kind of want to know what the longest rush on any of those was. If it was more than 5 yards, I may be surprised.
For each 18, 29, 17, 18, 33.
Holy crap. That is a lot better than I was expecting.
Yeah, dude.
Is that the longest rush or the longest touchdown run, though?
All of those were touchdown runs that I just said.
Wow. How'd you find that so quick?
I have it right here. I looked. It's on Pro Football Reference.
Okay. It's impressive.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely like shocked by that.
I'm gonna guess he's not on your list then.
No, I said he's not. But
nah, okay.
I mean, maybe I should know. I literally posted a video of him throwing the ball today, so. So I mean, maybe I should know that, but yeah, no. My next guy, start my next little section of my bottom tier. It's like these three next guys kind of almost feel like the same type of runners. They're kind of bigger, bulkier quarterbacks that kind of played in like the same general time period. Moving a little bit, basically like this early 2000s kind of quarterback, bigger guys, but that could still run. Not like fat though, just like heavier. So first guy's Dante Culpepper, who's probably actually the heaviest of the bunch. So I mean, I knew Dante Culpepper could move, but I guess I really didn't realize like I was watching him play a little bit, and probably of these three guys in this little grouping I have here, probably the least elusive, but he still had some speed, and he's just ranking himself a bit higher than Vince Young. Once again, probably because I'm probably giving a little bit of a benefit to his actual passing ability over Vince Young. So, I mean, pretty equal on that scale. Not exactly the same exact talent in the run game, because, like I said, he's running a bit heavier than Vince Young when Vince Young's a little faster, but, you know, he can use a little bit of his size more to his advantage, so just give him the benefit because of the passing ability, and he's 19 for me.
I do not have Culpepper on my list.
Oh, well.
Might have been an oversight by me. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm seeing some of the other guys on my list, but I'm gonna stick with my list. I did watch some of Culpepper's highlights. He's one of those guys we were talking before. He's one of those guys where I really just couldn't find a spot for him on my list, but maybe put him over Greg Landry there at the end.
Maybe. I mean, could you imagine Culpepper playing at the time Landry did?
Well,
that's
do you imagine?
That's
Greg,
just
no. You're putting it in the scenario of let's put that guy in this time. Let's give put Greg Landry in this time. Give him a modern playbook. Dude's gonna dominate.
Oh boy.
And get him out of Detroit.
Man, it's an interesting thought, and I'd like to see it, but no, yeah, that's like I said, that is a big part of my list. Is like I don't have a lot of really old guys because I don't think that their success back then would necessarily translate as well now. So, yeah. My next guy at spot 18 is really similar in terms of running the ball, but Steve Mcnair, he was a little lighter, and I think that gave him a little more speed and just that bit more of agility on him than Dante Culpepper actually is going to give him the mark above Dante Culpepper, really. And like I said, he's kind of in this same range. He's the second of the three guys that I kind of have in similar body types.
Steve Mcnair is on my list.
Ooh.
So that's our first one that we have in common. And I don't really agree too much with your placement of him down there that low, but we'll see. He was great.
Oh,
I mean,
he's better than that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he is better than that.
Fine. Just tell me you're 18. We'll get to hear about him from you later.
Yeah, you're gonna laugh. So you put Steve Mcnair at number 18. At number 18, I have Timothy Tebow.
Oh, okay.
He was a fullback that played quarterback.
Yes, he was.
There's no way around it. Fun fact that I found out about him when I was looking stuff up: he was born in the Philippines, so
he can't be president, or
no,
does that count?
He cannot.
Does that count? Is that
well,
territory?
His parents are American
No,
citizens.
but are the Philippines a territory? I don't know. You have to actually tell
they
me.
might. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But
keep going.
Tim Tebow would have been higher on my list if he played any more than one season.
He played like a season plus like 4 games in 2010. Or actually, he didn't start in 2011, so yeah, I guess you're right. It basically was just one season.
Yeah. He, I don't want to say revolutionized the game, but he made GMs look stupid if they wanted to not go with the guy that was strong and fast, because Elway looked stupid not playing Tebow at the start of that season. Granted, Tebow time would always come in and save him, like save Tebow, made him look good, but
yes.
I think Tim Tebow was the one. He really just finally kicked the the chair out from GMs that were not willing to budge, and gave us a lot of other great guys. Now there are guys in the 90s and early 2000s that were great, fantastic, but Tebow in the 2010s was like, you guys can just go with the best athlete on the field.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always work out great because sometimes the best athlete on the field is not a great passer. But
Yeah. All right. Who's your 17? Tebow is on my list if I didn't say that.
So going from one lefty to another in Jim Zorn, a.k.a. the left-handed Tarkenton. Which, fun fact, I found out, didn't know anyone ever called him that. But watched highlights of him, and I heard the old-timey announcers go, Jim Zorn, the left-handed Fran Tarkenton. And I was like, there's no way. And I looked at his rushing numbers. It was pretty solid numbers, man.
I gotta be honest, he wasn't even in consideration for my list. So,
dude, oversight on your part. Such a great athlete that when he was 29, they threw him a pass for 27 yards. Just saying. But in his rookie season, 4 rushing touchdowns. 2 seasons after that, 6. Longest rush of his career is 41 yards, which is kind of unheard of in the 70s, a quarterback running that long.
Okay.
I know when I was making this list, I thought many times Hayden's going to disagree with that, but I love it. Jim Zorn was awesome.
Well, I'm not going to argue it because I don't really have any perspective on it to argue it, so I can't say much anything. What were his career playing years?
76 to 87.
Okay, that's right about where I would have guessed, so that sounds right to me. Yeah. Alrighty. And he was 17 for you?
17, yes.
Alright, my 17 is the last guy in my similar quarterbacks era of Donovan Mcnabb. I really undervalued his rushing ability before I came in to look at how well he ran the football earlier. And really he has more speed than I thought he did. He also with his height and weight really is a pretty balanced runner in any type of move that he'd want to go to. And I just thought that was a great compliment to the Eagles. And actually, if he may have used his legs a bit more in his career, he may actually be ranked higher on this list for me.
Yes, Donovan is on my list.
Ooh.
I do agree that if he used his legs more, definitely would have been
higher
considered. Yeah, probably wouldn't have lost his job to Vic, but that's a big.
Well, he didn't lose it to Vic.
Oh,
he lost it to Kevin Cobb.
Kevin Cobb. Yeah, he wouldn't have lost. Yeah, geez, definitely wouldn't have lost it to Kevin Cobb if he displayed more of his athleticism from time to time.
Yeah. No, I don't know how old he was before he got sent over to Washington, but yeah, it may have changed things, may have helped them at some points. My number 16 guy. This one is probably a little more contentious, especially considering the name and how well he's known for his rushing ability, at least early in his career. And I will say that I'm taking these guys as if they were the best versions of themselves, at least in terms of running the ball, right? Mm-hmm. So, it's Robert Griffin III. Now, after these injuries, it's been kind of downhill for RG3 in terms of his rushing ability. I don't know. He just doesn't seem like as much as a threat when he gets in games, like if Lamar is out or whatever, running the ball. There may be some fear there, and there may actually be some wear and tear on things like his legs after injuries that slow him down a bit. But even before the injuries, it just felt like RG3 was fast, but it needed to be situations where he could just run in a straight line. Like, the other guys before that I mentioned all had a little athletic ability, and then they were also fast, and that's why they got onto this list at all. But RG3, really, it wasn't much juking and dodging or running anybody over or anything like that at all. It was almost exclusively straight line speed that made him get on this list, and his straight line speed with his what seems in my head to be like long strides is really what got him onto my list. But that's what keeps him this low, is that he really doesn't, if you don't protect against the rush and he can just run, he can beat you in a race. Like, he'll run faster than you. But if you're in front of him, I really don't know how threatened I am by him like making a move on a guy and shaking him out of his shoes like I am with some other guys more at the top end of my list, and that's why he's still so low for me.
Yes, I had RG3 on my list in the more and more videos the guys I was watching. I think he started my list at 15, 16, and then just kept getting moved down and down and down, and then got pushed out. I really wanted him to be in my list, but I just couldn't find a way to put him in it.
Yeah, that's all right. Who's your 16?
Well, you're going with players that you watched, that we both watched in our time. I'm going with a player that my parents never got to watch, and that's Tobin Rote. Tobin Cornelius Rote, quarterback for the Green Bay Packers from 1950 to 1956. His whole NFL career spans from 1950 to 1966.
Oh, trust
Hayden,
me, I know the name.
What do you know about Tobin Rote? What do you know about Tobin Rote, Hayden?
I know that he was a Packers quarterback that ran for a decent amount of yardage during his playing career. I couldn't tell you the other teams he played for, and I really couldn't tell you much about him besides the fact that he appears on some rushing yardage lists for that reason at the quarterback position.
Yes, he does. He was so good at running the football that at age 35, the Chargers brought him in just to be the quarterback that runs the ball, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he started all 14 games for them. Also, quarterback that wears a number that isn't a quarterback number is great. His first 2 seasons in Green Bay wore 38, but I mean, that was the 50s. They didn't really have any regulations. Ran for 11 touchdowns at the age of 28.
Nice. That is a good number. That is a very good number.
His longest rush of his career is 55 yards. And that was when he was 23. His second longest is when he was 27. It was 49 yards. And even at the age of 35, he still ran for a long of 15 yards after taking like a 3-year break from the NFL.
All right, 15. All right, that age, 3-year break. I guess that's pretty good.
Yeah. I was stunned because I don't know a lot about old-time NFL guys, so I know you avoided them, but I kind of wanted to look in more to them just so I could.
No, I looked at them, but like I said, the one piece of my list that I think your list is, where it's different from mine, is like, you're just looking at what they actually did in their era. I'm literally talking about if each one of these guys were to play on the same like run focused read option type offense or something like that and played against the same defense, which guys would have the most success running the ball? And I just don't see those guys actually transferring to this era and being able to run the ball with as much success as more modern day players. There's a few though. My next guy will. Was that number 15 or 16 for you?
I don't know.
Tobin Rote.
Tobin Rote. Yeah. I have to do 2 in a row still. I haven't done my second guy
yet. Okay. Do the second guy. Or wait. Wait. Okay, so he was 16 for you.
Yeah, sure.
He was 16. Well, I mean, you have your list in front of you, right? How many guys are below him?
I changed the order. I have all the football reference tabs at the top of my screen, and I went through and changed it. My list is in front of me, but the numbers are wrong on it.
Okay, fine. Say your next guy.
My next guy is Colin Kaepernick. He was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson, basically.
Yes.
Better passer than Lamar Jackson.
What? Just that outright, like no questions asked. Just that much better.
Well, not that much better. He was more refined.
Alrighty. Did
You've seen him play, so I don't need to list off his stats. You've witnessed them. Led the Niners to a Super Bowl. Didn't win the Super Bowl though. Was a beast running the ball. I mean, nothing's better than that kissing his bicep celebration that he had.
Yeah. Just so you know, Kaepernick is on my list. It's just not in the tier that you put him in.
I don't have my list in tiers.
I know, but I'm not putting him all the way down here. This is disrespectful.
Well, I think it's disrespectful of what you did to Steve Mcnair and Donovan Mcnabb, but
yeah, no, this is much more disrespectful. No. I'm not okay with this, to be honest.
Well, I didn't have a hissy fit about Donovan McNabb and Steve McNair. So
well, you should have.
Oh, well, you'll just find out. It's
better content. All right. My number 15 is Arkenton. And
oh, that low?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's that low. Because like I said, I'm doing it as if it was a basic playing field. And or an even playing field. And if you put Arkenton on a field, he's still better than all these other guys that I have listed as more modern quarterbacks running the ball. But I think one of the things that made him such a fun quarterback is what he did behind the line of scrimmage, and he actually did a lot of stuff in terms of his ability. He really is like the first guy that seemingly used the pump fake like consistently, or at least like cocked his arm back and like showed defenders the football and like would get them off track from where he was actually intending to go to and like get them off their path so that he could scramble away from them. And I think that's the thing that he did really well that made him so elusive behind the line of scrimmage in the passing game. And he made his money making defenders miss in the backfield and then still throwing a ball way down the field. So the reason that he's lower on my list is basically because a lot of the action he did in that manner was not to actually end up having him run the ball, but just to set up passing, which isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing, but we're talking about actually scrambling quarterbacks, and I think his arsenal drops down a lot once he passes the line of scrimmage and is actually running it in the open field.
Okay, I can get behind that last statement.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you really do. When you think of Arkenton, are you thinking of any times where he's past the line of scrimmage?
No.
Yeah, it's almost non-existent, which doesn't mean he's a bad quarterback. He's a great freaking quarterback, but yeah, no, it's just not the part of the game that you're really thinking about with Arkenton. It is his legs, but it's not his legs past the line of scrimmage, and that's really what I was talking about more here in these. Because if we just want to talk about behind the line of scrimmage, I'd have guys like Ben Roethlisberger, and I may even rate Tony Romo as like the top guy on my list if we were talking about ability to scramble and avoid sacks behind the line of scrimmage, but we're not. So Tony Romo and Ben Roethlisberger, sadly, neither of them are on my list.
I'm shocked about the Big Ben one.
No, yeah, I love Tony Romo though. Tony Romo back in the day, I loved watching the Cowboys, and I was so mad when Dak took over for him because because really I don't know why, but by the end of Tony Romo's career, I was just happy to watch him any game he played in, and I'm just glad now that we get him in the booth instead of on the field. I still get to see him in some regard, but it's just sad that we have to listen to him talk about the Chiefs every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only team we talk about. Oh, I've got two in a row, don't I?
Yes.
My next one, guy, kind of similar time period, but this guy, he actually would take the ball past the line of scrimmage, and that's our man, Bobby Douglas.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Bobby, he looked like kind of like a little premature Steve Young. He was probably, I mean, really, he's got a lot of similarities to Steve Young. He's he was kind of really undersized for what he was trying to do. Like, he's not a big man when he's on the field, but he's a lefty. He can throw the ball over them there mountains, and he is just absolutely a treat to watch if you ever go back and check out some highlights, because he's really the first guy that's really consistently taking off with the football past the line of scrimmage from the quarterback position. And I think my favorite part about him is just that he was like absolutely fearless and didn't really let like anyone mess with him at all. It was just kind of like, okay, like he'll try to put a bunch of different moves on you, but like in the end, if he needs to, even though he's like a lightweight, he'll put his shoulder into a guy that's 100 pounds heavier than him and try to run him over. Even if there's no way it's gonna work and he fumbles the football, he's not gonna be known as a wuss. So I mean, that's just one of the best parts about him. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it probably could be a more refined ability, but just the raw talent of him is absolutely amazing to watch, and had to be in love with it. And he's number 14, so just so you know, this next guy you say is going to be 14, and the next guy after that will be 13.
Okay. Number 14 for me.
Bobby's on your list, right?
Yes, he is. Number 14 on my list is Bobby Douglas.
Oh, okay. Fair. We're on the same page here.
My favorite thing when I was watching highlights on Bobby Douglas, because they had those old NFL films, like interviews while the highlights are playing. They're talking to like his former teammates, and the guys are saying, "Yeah, Bobby wouldn't even strap his helmet on. He wanted that thing to come off. He ran better with it off."
That's amazing. I mean, that's just like one of the there's not even another guy on my list that I could say would be doing that. So yeah, I mean, you have to have him on the list for that reason alone.
Yes, and the film NFL Films interview with Bobby Douglas, and they're talking about him, and they just say, "Yeah, how far do you think you could throw a football?" He goes, it's 80, 90 yards. And it's like, dude, what? He says it so casual. He was like in his 40s when he said it. So I could probably now 80, 90 yards.
100 yards if I warmed up.
Yeah, maybe a little crow hop.
Yeah, like flat-footed, that's only 80, but
little crow hop. I think I could get that in the stands from back here.
Oh man, what do you call it? An American treasure. That's what you call him.
Yeah.
Oh man, best quarter. May we also say, like, if there was any competition, this may be an argument, but like, best quarterback in Bears history. Is there even competition? I think it's him. Like,
yeah.
I don't think that team is significantly worse if he's the quarterback of the 85 Bears. They may be even better. Their run game may be more powerful. They may make Walter Payton throw the ball more often, but
oh, do you have Walter Payton on your list?
No, I told you they have to be exclusively quarterbacks.
Number 13 for me. I have another guy who has Douglas in his name, but it's not his last name, it's his first name, and that's Doug Flutie.
All right.
Doug Flutie is a guy that when I was thinking, because I was trying to find a place for him, and I had him really low on my list, but I moved him up because I kept thinking Doug Flutie could still play if he was in his 20s and he was in the NFL, dude would be good because he was the only reason that the Bills were any good in the late 90s. Only reason the Bills had any chance of winning games was him. He ran for didn't run for a lot of touchdowns in his NFL career, but his bootleg that he had to send the Bills to the playoffs, I'm not sure if you've seen that clip. It is the coolest thing because it's like Peyton Manning's bootleg that he has, but Doug Flutie can still run in his late 30s, so you should be playing it, and he just gets gone.
How many yards is it?
It's like 4.
Oh, okay.
But it's one of those where everyone on the defense is just going right at the center because they think they're just running it up the middle.
Yeah.
And he just rolls right out.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, Flutie isn't on my list because him, like Arkenton, and I think Arkenton did it better than him realistically. It's more behind the line of scrimmage stuff. So, like I said before, it's just too much behind the line of scrimmage. I'm looking for stuff past the line of scrimmage, open field, actually gaining rushing yards, and Flutie never really put up those rushing yards numbers ever. Not even really close. So that kept him off my list.
Well, you and I constructed our lists in 2 very different ways.
Alrighty. Well, my number 13. This is the last guy in my bottom tier. Like I said, my bottom tier. The tier is really important here. It's Tim Tebow. It's our fullback friend. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you can say what we want about his arm. His arm is not anything special at all. But boy, is it a treat to watch him run. I mean, we don't, especially modern day, we don't get many guys at the quarterback position who are looking to initiate contact, and I think that's what Timothy Tebow was doing at the time he was playing professional football, and it really made it a treat to watch. And he, I don't know, he just had that specialness to him that he brought to the team. When the team, obviously, that Broncos team obviously just had a great defense, and that was a huge help in getting them to the playoffs. But there was something fun about watching Tebow, and I think he really did possess a lot of good qualities for somebody to run the ball consistently. But yeah. He probably should not have been an NFL quarterback ever, especially not one picked in the first round of the draft. It would have been really interesting to see what happened if he had went to like the Saints or something, and if Sean Payton could have started testing his Taysom Hill ideas out earlier in his career, that probably would have been a lot more interesting. And I guess I said that these guys had to exclusively play quarterback, but what I really meant there was that they had to exclusively play quarterback and not play any other position well. Because the idea was that Cordell Stewart and Terrell Pryor did play other positions well, so that's why I kept them off the list. But I almost completely forget about like the Jets fiasco with Tebow. Like that was just a mess. That is not anything I'm counting against Tebow, because it was nothing. And I just think he was a fun quarterback to watch run some guys over, and even then wasn't terribly fast, but it seemed like he had every move in the book up his sleeve. He could have tried him out at one time or another. So athletic guy, good runner. And that's the last guy for my bottom tier. This middle tier, I classify as real athletes, but just barely missing that perfection level of scrambling. So that's how I describe this middle tier. And number 12 is Marcus Mariota. Oh,
Mm.
Um, you know, he I'm a fanboy because of what he did at Oregon. I love so much. That was absolutely amazing to me, and some of my favorite college football to watch ever. But what he did in the NFL was also tremendous. I mean, there's a lot of plays where we're really looking at his running ability and athleticism. We got that like 87-yard touchdown run against the Jags, which is one of the longest quarterback touchdown runs in NFL history. That's showing off his speed. And then if you want to call back to a play that you talked about before, the play in the Chiefs playoff game where he catches the ball, you can say that he's a receiver on that play or whatever, but and then he dives in and he tiptoes the boundary and then dives into the end zone. It shows how athletic he was. And there was a lot of times when he would actually scramble that he would show off his athleticism and be able to avoid a lot of tackles. So I really liked that, and I think that I think this is the right spot for him. Putting him in my middle tier that I classified before, just above like all those bottom guys. He's a level above all those guys in terms of his skill, just because of how balanced of a player he is running the ball.
Mm-hmm. He's nowhere to be found on my list, but I know that you boo me all you want. I speak the truth.
No, you don't. Your
Yeah, I
truth is
do.
wrong.
Says the guy that doesn't have this next man on his list.
Really? How can you say that before? Wait, because it's Cordell Stewart or Terrell Pryor.
Well,
It's Cordell Stewart.
it's Otto
Cordell.
Graham.
Oh,
Otto Everett Graham Jr.
all right.
We talked about fullbacks playing the quarterback position with Tebow. That was Otto Graham. Otto Graham was the first Tim Tebow, but never missed a championship game in his entire career. Always played in the NFL championship game. Proven winner, proven runner. Do you know how many yards he ran for in his rookie season, Hayden?
I have no idea, but if you tell me a number that's like over 500, I'm gonna be surprised because it didn't show up on any of the lists that I looked at.
Well, this is probably a glitch in Pro Football Reference, but I'm going to just state it as fact. Pro Football Reference says that in his rookie
6,000
season,
yards.
Otto Graham ran for negative 125 yards.
Oh, sacks were counted. Sacks were counted against you.
Ah,
Yeah. So sacks weren't addressed at that time. So anytime he took a sack, it would have been negative rushing yards. And
so
actually,
we don't even really know what his real rushing numbers look
yes,
like then.
that's actually a really good argument for him that I didn't even consider, because I do know he was a good runner and I think of him as a great player. I love him, but I have always thought of him as a better passer than a rusher, even though I knew that running was an aspect of his game. I didn't really ever consider that, and I guess if you take that into account, it probably makes him look. Yeah, he's probably a lot better of a runner than we realize. You're probably right. I mean, just because I was basing my list a lot off of looking at rushing yards and him never popping up on my list for rushing yards, those sacks hurt him a lot then, and I will definitely say that was probably an oversight on my part, because I really didn't understand why he was never getting up to the yardage totals that I thought he would have been at. Like, I thought he would have at least hit, like, the bottom of the lists I were looking at were at like 450 yards, and I thought, man, I'm surprised Otto never got to 450 in a season.
Yeah, now knowing that, I highly doubt he didn't get to 450 in a season. He probably just got sacked a bunch.
I mean, I have no idea what the average sack distance would have been on each play.
Neither do
then.
I'm not well versed in 40s and 50s football.
Hey, he's not that old, is he? It was like the end of the 40s when he started.
1946 to 1955.
Ah, okay. I thought it was.
Played in 10 straight championship games. ran
Oh
for
no, yeah, he's the best quarterback in NFL history, but
ran for 6 or more touchdowns 5 times in his career.
yeah, that's pretty good. He probably ran for a lot of yards that we just don't know about because the sacks weren't counted properly.
Yes, and they didn't even say what his longest rushes were in his career. They didn't
Yeah, they didn't
track that.
Yeah,
So
no. Yeah, no, it was too much to track back then. There wasn't enough people watching.
he's a victim to history.
He is. I just want to say again. Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably an oversight on my part because I shouldn't have focused so much on those stats, knowing that you go back far enough and they can get wacky.
He's a victim to history just to have teenagers like you overlook him.
Yep. All right, who's your 11?
Cordell Stewart. He played as quarterback in the NFL longer than he played as receiver.
Yes.
So that's why I'm counting him as a quarterback.
Fair.
I understand why you could say, well, I'm not going to count. You should not lump him and Terrell Pryor into the same conversation.
Well, I think Terrell Pryor was listed as a quarterback longer than he was a wide receiver as well, so why not?
Because Cordell Stewart actually played well when he was at the quarterback position. Have
you ever seen Terrell Pryor's run against the Raiders? That's one of the longest quarterback runs in NFL history. It actually may be the longest quarterback run in NFL history.
Ordell Stewart was in the same draft class as Donovan Mcnabb and Steve Mcnair. He fell to the second round, and if any other NFL player did what Cordell Stewart did, they would have probably gone undrafted. But he was so talented, teams just couldn't help but take him in the second round. The second round.
Why would he have gone undrafted?
Oh, I'm not... because he changed... He said that he wanted to play quarterback. Or wanted to play receiver,
I don't know anything about him in college. What did he do in college?
I don't have his college stats pulled up, but he was one of the best college quarterbacks. I don't want to say Colorado. Colorado's the college he went to.
Okay. So he did well there playing quarterback?
Yes. Did well there playing quarterback, switched to wide receiver. No teams really wanted to, touch him. And then the Steelers just couldn't keep their hands off of him. And then they were like, hey, dude, you're a pretty good receiver, but I mean, look at those legs. Look at those touchdowns you're getting. I mean, why not just play quarterback for us and rush for 11 touchdowns in a season, your first year being full-time quarterback?
I mean, that's the time period where they have Neil O'Donnell throwing the ball right to, what's his name, Larry Brown twice in the Super Bowl. Is that right?
I believe so.
Throwing it right to him. So, yeah, they were probably looking for some answers at the quarterback position. Like, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, and he was... probably one of, at the time he started playing quarterback, the most athletic quarterback to ever play the quarterback position. At the time he started playing quarterback.
Okay, so if you're saying that, does that mean that everybody else on your list is more modern than him?
No.
All right, we're going to ignore that. That was your number 11, correct?
Yes.
You said 2 in a row. All right, my number 11 is Desean Watson. Desean Watson, heck of an athlete, lots of ability to get past the line of scrimmage and make some magic happen. And he does it. He's done it before. You can think back to that Thursday night game against the Bengals where he has a long, almost something like 50-yard touchdown run. And you see the flashes of greatness, right, in his rushing ability at least. And then you see other plays like this where he's in the backfield and he gets his eye jabbed out or kicked or whatever the heck happened against the Raiders, and he's running around and then he throws the ball into the end zone for a touchdown. The only thing that's keeping him down, like a lot of other guys I've said before, like Arkenton, It's just that he's looking to throw a lot. So he's doing a lot of things that aren't necessarily to get up the field, and I think he could actually utilize it more. And looking down at my list again, I have another guy that's in this tier range that's kind of similar, but I ranked him a lot higher, so that may have been a misstep in that I should have ranked him lower because he doesn't do him a lot. But I feel like when Desean Watson does scramble, get past the line of scrimmage, he gets a decent amount of yards, and where he's not scrambling all the time to actually make yardage himself rushing, he's scrambling to throw the ball down the field, like I said. Like the other guys, I just feel like the other guy is more efficient when he does it and gains a lot more yardage. So that's why I have the other guy higher, just for that reference once we get up there for the next guy that I talk about. Desean Watson on your list at all?
No.
Didn't think so. 10. Steve Young. You know, it didn't look good. He didn't look fast. It doesn't really make any sense at all. I have no idea why it worked. And you put him on a field. He goes against the defense. And it works. I really don't know how to explain it. And I'm assuming, since you were leaning more towards older guys being on your list, I'm guessing you have Steve Young on your list at some point.
Yes.
But I don't really know how to explain why it worked, because he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the most elusive, he wasn't the strongest, he wasn't anything. He really just, I mean, he didn't even look that athletic, but it worked, and we have to give him credit because it worked. I mean, that's all I can really say about him, is that it worked, and I have to give him credit for that reason, but I don't know why it worked, but it worked enough that I have to say it did work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll get to him. Who's your
Yes,
number
I will.
10?
The founder of the scramble drill himself, Rand Arkenton.
Yes.
Can't make a top 10 list of best legs on quarterbacks in NFL history and not have Frank Arkenton there at 10.
Yes, to be fair, I think that was a part of why I put him on, because if you don't put him on, then none of these guys exist. So, yeah, I agree.
Yep. No, you discussed most of what I really wanted to say about him. He's just like Greg Landry, a victim of being in a terrible spot as a player, and that's with the Vikings for most of his career. Was with had a pit stop with the Giants for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But
Pit stop.
yeah,
5-year pit stop.
I mean, the dude played until he was 38, so
Yeah. Another treasure. We have to keep him safe.
Yes.
I don't know if he's alive, but we have to keep him safe.
He is.
How old is he? 70s,
81.
80s? 80. Wow.
He turned 81 the 3rd of February.
Wow. Okay. Getting up there.
Yeah.
All right.
Still could probably juke you out of your shoes.
Probably. Who's your next guy?
Donovan Mcnabb.
He's higher than Tarkenton.
Yes.
Okay.
He was a beast.
I mean, I shouldn't complain too much. I only have them 2 spots separated, and like I said, they're in my bottom tier, so really they're kind of pretty similar. I don't know.
He was a beast, like you said. If he would have used his legs more, higher up, even at 9, still could on my list. Still could be higher up if he used his legs more. I don't want to say he seemed like he was afraid to run, but
Probably was.
Yeah. But when he would run, he wouldn't be afraid to put his shoulder into a guy and try to run someone over, which I don't get.
No, by afraid to run, I mean he'd be afraid to be classified as the quarterback who is only good because of his ability to run. Not afraid of contact,
No,
afraid of the time period and what would be said
I
about him.
understand that. I understand that now. Yes. Definitely wouldn't really want to be lumped into that. You can only run. I mean, that's kind of why.
It's still happening today, so I mean, could you only imagine 20 years ago what it was like?
Yeah, and that's why. There's like a rumor thing that Warren Moon ran like a slow 40 on purpose just because he didn't want to change positions.
I mean, I could see why that would be true. I mean, and Warren Moon, I don't think, but I actually don't think Warren Moon wanted to run, because I think Warren Moon, like, unless he really did it for that long, just never like he really decided that he was just gonna go all in. I think he was actually a pocket passer. Like, he may have been fast, but there was no part of him that like actually was looking for running lanes ever. He was always trying to throw the ball. So even if he was good at running, he had no intention of ever trying it. I don't think it was like fake, where it was him being scared of the repercussions, like I say with Mcnabb and what everybody else say about him if he runs too much. I just think he actually wanted to be a pocket passer and thought that he could do better being a pocket passer rather than looking for rushing lanes.
I agree.
So does that complete your number 9?
Yes, that does complete my number 9.
Okay. My number 9. Now, we're getting pretty much into the territory where it's almost all exclusively modern day guys for me now. Number 9 is Josh Allen. And it's so, I think the thing that is hard for you and I to deal with is when we're younger and we learn about these guys, we have to look at them from a perspective of just we know almost nothing. And it's like anything you tell us is like new knowledge. It's like, whoa, these guys that are playing currently, new knowledge. The players that used to play, new knowledge. And when we're kids, it's like, wow, 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 wow. And then you age and you watch more football and you see it more and you become more used to it. So taking anything that happens nowadays in us, and probably even the more we age, is the less we're going to be able to realize how amazing it is based on a nostalgia factor alone. Josh Allen has he's gone through the progression now where it's less running and less running. With the biggest knock, since we're Bills fans, we obviously know what the downfall is with him running. It's the risk of him fumbling, because he really hasn't protected the ball extremely well once he's started running, and gotten into some gang tackles and other things. That's the real scary thing when he runs. But the thing is that when he runs, there's almost nothing he's bad at, and we've seen him do almost everything. We've seen him have people run by him and juke him. We've seen him stiff arm people. We've seen him jump over people. We've seen him run over people. It's everything. It's the full package, and alongside that, he's a pretty fast human being. Not the top end speed of the guys at the top of my list, but a pretty fast guy. And everything he is able to do in the rushing game is extremely impressive. And like I said, since it's modern day and it doesn't have the nostalgia factor, it's not going to be looked on as impressively, but it truly is amazing what he's doing, and I think I needed to put him on the list just to know that I wasn't giving nostalgia too much of a bearing on my decision making. And this is really the part where I really think it's clear to me that, like, we're a lot more used to having these modern guys be able to move, and we're okay with it now. Unlike we were before, where we actually think McNabb was not running just to save face, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go again. Sorry.
Yes, you do.
Next guy, right in front of Josh Allen. Even though I just talked about all of the things Josh Allen does well, this guy is a smaller guy, kind of undersized, even for a quarterback. But the thing with him is his acceleration, not speed, but acceleration, and he's able to avoid tackles, at least in the realm of juking. So he may not be able to run over, stiff arm, jump over like Josh Allen and do the variety of things, but his acceleration when he chooses to take off and his ability to juke out defenders are almost unrivaled. And that's Kyler Murray. I literally don't know if there's a player that gets to top speed faster than Kyler Murray. Tyreek Hill is faster than Kyler Murray. I don't think he gets to top speed as quick as Kyler Murray does. Kyler Murray gets to top speed in, it seems, almost instantaneously. And then when he needs to, he'll put a move on. He'll juke out a defender, make him miss. And he's a small target. It may actually help him that he's smaller because he doesn't have as big of a hitbox. And it's like, it's kind of harder to get this guy down because he's smaller. But I think it really makes him a weapon. And I don't know. That's just what I've got to say about him. We haven't seen a lot of him because he's young, just like Allen. And I guess that's really all that I can say about him right now. But those two traits he has are so incredible that I needed to put him this high. Do you have either of those guys on your list? I'm guessing no.
No, I do not.
See? I knew it. Nostalgia factor. All over your list.
Not nostalgia factor. I haven't seen enough.
Oh, come on.
What? Josh Allen's probably going to move out of that whole running phase in a year or two. Kyler Murray, we don't know how long that he's going to be in the NFL.
Wow. Okay, fine. I'm not agreeing with you at all.
I'm just saying.
No. Tell me who your number 8 is.
My number 8 is the man named Air, Steve Mcnair. I know you and I had a disagreement where you placed him on the list. Dude was a weapon. Ran for 8 touchdowns twice in his career. Had some really long runs too. His longest being 71 yards, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw some of those.
For someone not named Terrell Pryor to do. He so good. Yeah, I don't really got much to say. You touched on a lot of what I want to say. I'm looking at my notes for what I said about him, and you got everything. So.
Okay, well, tell me your next guy.
My next guy is John Albert Elway.
No.
No, I don't care. No. I don't care. No.
No.
You said best legs in NFL history.
Not even close.
He's got some of the best legs I've ever seen on a quarterback. Hey, do any of the other guys on your list have a play that's called is something so as iconic as the run?
Who calls it that?
Everyone calls it that.
The run.
The run.
I'm going to need to start polling people and not have you go talk to them first. I'm going to need to start polling people and seeing how many people call that play the run.
Everyone calls that play the run.
So you're telling me like a 5-yard run on 3rd and 4 is called the run. It's called the run.
Iconic.
He doesn't even score on it. It's just 5 yards on 3rd and 4. He gets the crap knocked out of him But geez, I mean,
It's
okay,
iconic.
we
It's
we can
iconic.
we can talk about players laying themselves on the line all the time. That doesn't mean he's good at running. If he was a good runner, he would have avoided both the tackles and then scored a touchdown on
That's
that
a guy
play.
that wants to win. That's a guy that wants to win.
Or you know what? If he was a really good runner, if he was really big and athletic, he would have taken both those hits, figured out how to
Tell me
perfectly.
how old he was. Hayden, tell me how old he was, and tell me if Josh Allen at that age could take that hit and then keep going. Do you know how old he was?
What is Josh Allen? 14 years younger than him at the time? What? No, what is he? 12 years older than Josh Allen is now? What is he? 36? 37? I don't know. What is he? I know he's old. What was he? How old was he?
He was 38.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I give him one more year. All right. So 13 years, right? That's basically what I said, right? 13 years older than Josh Allen is right now. You really want me to compare Josh Allen, who we have no idea what is going to happen in the next year?
That's what I'm saying. That's what you're saying. You're saying you can take that hit. You don't know. You've never seen another 38-year-old quarterback take a hit like that.
Yeah, but I've also seen Josh Allen do enough ridiculous stuff to try to win games that if he had to dive for a first down in that same scenario, I bet he would. And I bet it wouldn't even have to be the Super Bowl. I bet he'd do that, and he'd probably do that in a preseason game.
Yeah, he'd probably fumble doing it too.
He may, but hey, we're talking about effort here. We're not talking about actual legs. Just because you.
That's what the list is. The list is actual legs.
Yeah, exactly. This play has nothing to do with actual legs. That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
The play, yes, because any quarterback, you're right, he's 38 years old. He's slower than molasses. Anybody could have ran that distance. That's not the reason the play is impressive. What other run does John Elway have in his career that is any bit, incredible at all?
A bunch of them.
Yes, now please describe the plays in your memory clearly.
Dude, do you want me to seriously remember all the highlights I've seen?
No, remember 3.
Remember 3? Dude, he had a lot of scrambles that he scored on. He had a 31-yard touchdown run.
Are you reading this off, or are you describing me the play? I want you to describe me 3 plays that you can remember from memory.
See, this is why I wanted more information on what we were going to be talking about, because now we get here where I think John Elway has good legs, and you're saying, well, Desean Watson's good though. It doesn't make any sense. Desean Watson shouldn't be on the list. He hasn't proven enough.
Proven enough? How are we talking about proven legs? Okay, you actually want to talk about proving legs? Is that what you want to say?
I just
because in terms of if you want to take how many years has Desean Watson been in the league?
4, 5, 4.
Yeah, so if you want to take the first 4 seasons of John Elway's career, and then the first 4 seasons of Desean Watson's career, how many highlights are we going to have? And here, I'll even take back what I said earlier. How many highlights are we going to have of Desean Watson, even scrambling and then making throws and or rushing yardage, either or? And then also Elway. And like I said, we're giving him the scrambling and then throwing too. How many are we going to compare to each other? Because Desean Watson is going to have probably 20 times the number Elway is going to have.
Well, Elway didn't really start running the ball until he was in his 30s anyway. It's a ridiculous thing to compare.
Elway starts running the ball in his 30s.
He did. Here's his total. All right, so here's Elway's rushing touchdowns in his first 4 years. 1, 1. In his first 4 years in his 30s, 3, 6, 2, 4.
You should tell me attempts, because you could literally
Attempts?
just be on the 1 yard line and decide, hey, this season we're gonna run more quarterback sneaks than we did last season. So yes, what about attempts? How many attempts did he have each year?
28, 56, 51, 52, and in his 30s it was 50, 55, 44, 44.
Yeah, so it's about the same. There's 26, but the rest are about the same. No, I don't agree with this at all. You're not gonna change my mind.
Okay. Well, you can just be fine being wrong then.
Uh,
Not putting one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, one of the greatest scramblers of all time
I
on your
really,
list.
I really, well, I told you if it's behind the line of scrimmage, I'm not really counting it. And even though in
This is why lists need to be. This
the
is we
Deshaun
need to
Watson
flush. We
argue,
need
the
before
Deshaun
we do
Watson
podcasts, we need
argument,
to flush out the ideas more because it leads to stuff like this where we get two very different ideas of what our list should look like, and we have disagreements because we have two different ideas of what the list should look like.
why is this bad? No, no. You're supposed to debate this stuff. That's why we're talking about it. You shouldn't say that we need to plan ahead more.
You debate similar lists. You don't debate the concept of your list.
Well, I don't. What part of John Elway's legs do you love the most? What is it? Is it his speed, or is it his elusiveness,
his legs? I'm gonna start with his femurs and then go down to the tibia and the fibula, and that leads right there to the foot bone. I like all of his legs.
What, is it the leaping ability? Because I mean, if we really want to talk leaping ability, I saw Josh Allen jump over a 6'5" man, and all I saw Elway do is chuck his chest in between two shoulders that were actually lower than the current elevation of his chest. He actually got lower than.
Resilience.
No. Resilience is not. No. Resilience is not actual athletic ability running the ball.
Okay.
What number was that?
I don't know.
Did you do 2 in a row?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Well, my number 7 guy is Tyrod Taylor, and he's kind of the basically copy and paste what I said about Mariota, but Tyrod really never was aggressive enough throwing the football, and that's obviously why I think we and he missed. He just wouldn't throw the ball across the middle ever, which hurt his game a lot. That was why he had to end up not playing quarterback anymore. But in terms of running the ball, he was really effective. And then like I said, very similar to Mariota, but even more elusive than Mariota was. Like people could not bring him down, and he really, even though he wasn't that big of a guy, he was able to generally not run guys over, but he could even beat some guys with a stiff arm and stuff like that. So even though he had like all that elusiveness and speed, he did bring some of the aspects of a guy who would usually have a slightly heavier build into his game, and that made him superior to some of these other guys that I mentioned before. But very good running quarterback. And he's number 7 for me. And then number 6, guy I talked about, is earlier in comparison to, let's see here, Desean Watson. It was in comparison to Desean Watson. This guy has also made a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage. But what I'm in scrambling around and then making a throw down the field that's just absolutely ridiculous. Thing is that once he actually does run the ball, he's kind of limited that part of his game so much that when he actually runs the ball past the line of scrimmage, one of two things happens. They'll either find a lane and gain huge yardage off of it, exploit the defense massively, or he'll make somebody look silly. And that's Russell Wilson. I mean, even though it's not a ton of running and it's never been huge numbers for how many yards he's picked up running the ball, it's always been really effective when he does run the ball. And it's great timing along with his actual talent passing the ball. It complements it perfectly. And he concludes the middle tier of my list before I get into like my top 5 guys that I really think are like the best ever running the ball at the quarterback position.
All right. This would be number 6 for me here, right? 1, 2, 3,
Yep.
4. Yeah, 6. I've got Cam Newton. Cam Newton scrambled so Josh Allen could run. Cam Newton is the quarterback that you would make if you were in a lab and tried to build a quarterback.
There's 2 things that I would change about Cam Newton in the lab, though. Very minor things, okay?
What, durability?
No, not even durability. I think his durability has actually been pretty good for how he plays. Um, it would be, uh, what do you call it? Throwing motion, and then the other thing is his freaking fake handoffs on play action suck. Put the rock in the guy's belly so it's actually sellable. I mean, jeez. Actually, I think he may have fixed that in New England this year because I don't feel like I remember seeing that in New England like as much. Like it used to be in Carolina, the play actions were just so bad it was like nobody's gonna bite on that. But I think he may actually have fixed that second part. So it really may be just the throwing motion that I'd fix. But yeah, I mean everything else you're on point. Like pretty lab made quarterback.
Yes, he owns like almost every single quarterback rushing record that you can think of for touchdowns, yards, and everything.
Not yards.
Not yards, touchdowns. For like, yeah, I know
touchdowns.
he has like
It's
yeah,
touchdowns.
every like rookie rushing record for a quarterback he has. Sure. I mean, it's really rare to see like quarterbacks run for double-digit touchdowns,
No,
especially
yeah.
do it twice in their career. Once when they're 22, the second time when they're 26.
Yeah, when he came on the scene in 2011, it basically changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was completely different after that. And you can't argue with the fact that he didn't allow for almost like it feels like a third of the teams having some type of extremely athletic quarterback nowadays.
Yes, kind of the guy that you made. You got to have an athletic quarterback now because of Cam Newton.
Yeah, you're right. Who's your next guy?
My next guy, starting my top 5. He came into the league a year after Cam Newton. And that's Russell Wilson.
I'm surprised that you gave him that credit.
He is Fran Tarkenton if Fran Tarkenton also ran the ball across the line of scrimmage. He is very elusive, makes a bunch of throws on the run, can make guys miss in the open field sometimes, smart when he runs, can maneuver the pocket well. Hasn't been recently has not been maneuvering the pocket well, and that's been leading to him getting sacked a ton. But
I wouldn't even give that to pocket maneuverability. I would give that just to offensive line playing like crap. The other thing we should probably mention about him is the fact that he literally never gets hurt, which is almost unheard of when you have a quarterback that is that gifted running the ball.
Mm-hmm. Very durable.
Not even durable, just intelligent. Like, he's not a big guy. Like, other guys, I may argue sometimes it would be better to, like, let themselves get tackled, but he's not a big guy, and he's very smart on when he needs to go down and when he should. It's well thought out, and he's very careful the risks he does take versus the risks he doesn't take.
Yes.
So, is it time for my next guy?
Sure.
All right. My number 5 is Colin Kaepernick. Is Kaepernick on your list?
Yeah, he was mentioned.
You put him. Oh my gosh, I forgot about it because you put him so far down. Oh my gosh. Nah, Kaepernick was a product off that Cam Newton tree we talked about earlier, where teams realized, hey, we can have this guy running the ball in the NFL, and it really can be a weapon. You have a guy like Alex Smith taking the Niners to the NFC Championship game, and then the next year he gets injured for a few weeks, and Colin Kaepernick comes in, and he doesn't do anything crazy at first, but I mean, he's adding a new dimension to the offense, and they liked the new dimension to the offense so much that he really changed what they were doing entirely. And then what happened from there is it was like, oh wow, this is kind of taking something completely new. And then he has games where he's like, he's got playoff records for quarterback rushing yards and like passing for huge yardage at the same time as well in that game against the Green Bay Packers. We'll never forget. Pretty sure it was in Candlestick Park that that game happened, and just watching it was absolutely insane because it was like Cam Newton was doing it, and then RG3 was doing it, but it was happening during the regular season, and it was like, okay, these guys are doing it, but who's going to be the guy that makes the first deep playoff run doing this? And Kaepernick actually was the first guy who got into the playoffs doing that new thing that we hadn't seen other guys doing and actually impressing us with it. So he really changed the game in terms of like how well or how much success you can actually have utilizing this new style of quarterback in these systems that are actually calling plays geared towards getting the ball in the quarterback's hands running down the field. And he went for huge yardage and in that game, and I think went for 2 touchdowns on the ground on top of having a great day throwing the ball, and then got him all the way to the Super Bowl and almost brought him all the way back in the Super Bowl when they got down huge. It was the peak. It was definitely the peak of his career, sadly, and we didn't get to see more of it. Saw some the next season, but you can't discount what he did that year. And if he was on that level every season he played, then he would probably be a Hall of Famer. But as we know, things dropped off. Chip Kelly came in, and it was all downhill from there.
Yeah.
I gotta go again, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 for me is Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham.
Thank God you mentioned him. I thought you were going to get through your whole list and just forget about him because you're too obsessed with these guys that play now.
No, I'm not an idiot.
Oh, I didn't want nostalgia to affect my list so much.
Well, I don't want nostalgia to affect my list too much, but Randall Cunningham is still one of the best scrambling quarterbacks to ever play. It doesn't matter. No, yeah, I've got Steve Young on here. I've got Bobby Douglas. I got Fran Tarkenton. I mean, I've got guys in here that aren't young. Yes, he is here. He's number 4. Okay? I mean, he's like Plastic Man. Come on. Like, just, it's like, I'll never forget hearing that. That play where he rolls, and now I'm gonna give here. I'm gonna talk about something you love. I'm gonna talk about a play where he throws the ball. There's no play that I've ever seen like that, where somebody has so clearly gotten their legs wiped out from under them and not done anything where it's like their whole body flips over or something, where it's like where it's like the Marvin, is it Jerome Simpson? Is Jerome Simpson the one who does the flip into the end zone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That Jerome Simpson play or the Cam Newton play where it's like these guys get flipped up in the air and end up on their feet even though they weren't initially on their feet, and that's how they're getting their legs wiped out from under them. No, because Randall Cunningham is getting his legs shot out from under him from the side. And you look at this play, and when he's rolling out on, like, I think it's Monday Night Football against the Giants, and it's him getting his legs hit out from under him, and his legs go almost like, I don't even know how to describe it. If 90 degrees is perpendicular to the ground, like his whole body is sideways, they probably get up to like 75 degrees sideways because of them getting hit up into the air. And somehow he like jumps backwards while his legs are getting hit out from under him. So they're up at that crazy angle, and then he's able to put him back down, plant him in the ground, put his hand on the ground and make sure he doesn't fall over, and then stand back up and fire a ball for a touchdown. And it's been probably at least 35 years since that happened, and there's no other play like it in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
The other play that I have to mention here that is absolutely insane is the play against the Bills where it looks like he's going to take a safety from his own 5-yard line, and he ducks under like 3 guys, then turns around, scrambles out to the left, and fires a rocket of a ball about 60 yards down the field into one-on-one coverage. The receiver makes the catch, the defensive back falls over, and they score like a 95-yard touchdown off this play. Both the plays I mentioned were passing touchdowns. Now, I said that those aren't that important because they're happening behind the line of scrimmage. The thing is that even though those are the plays that I remember clearly from Cunningham, there's plenty of other plays where he gets past the line of scrimmage, goes for huge yardage or long touchdowns, or just makes people look silly. This was a common occurrence with Randall Cunningham, and he really was the first guy to do it on a whole nother level. It wasn't Bobby Douglas. It wasn't Fran Tarkenton type. It was before Steve Young, but it wasn't even like him, really. It was, well, I guess, this is where it comes in, and I have to figure out exactly what year it was. It was something like 89 is Young's first year, and then the mid-80s is Cunningham's first years, right?
Their careers started in 85, both of them, but Young didn't really start for the Niners until 91.
Okay. So, yeah. You get what I'm saying, though. Cunningham was a little bit ahead of Steve Young, and even then, he was just doing things that nobody else was doing for that time, and really no one came close to doing what he was doing until Vic got into the league. No one was coming close.
Yeah.
Your turn.
He was great. So number 4 on my list, I have Steve Young. Everyone remembers him as a 49er, but his 2 years in Tampa, man, 40 attempts, 74 attempts respectively, 6 total touchdowns in his career at Tampa, 5 in his second season. That's wild. And then he just sat. He just aged. And the older he got, his legs were like fine wine, baby. He just went off. He ran for 7 touchdowns at the age of 33. Insane, especially for running like a headless chicken every single time. 37 ran for 6. That's a headless chicken that's also old, really old.
That's Grandpa Headless Chicken.
Yeah, I was just blown away when I found out all that stuff about Steve Young and like how, because I know that he sat for a long time when he was on the Niners, but just to see how old he was and all that he did while he was that old was insane.
I just love how I'm like realizing how you've made up all your list and how statistical everything has been, and then you're just like, yeah, and Otto Graham's on here for negative 128, and it's like, what?
Negative 125 yards. Come on. Not negative 128. That guy isn't that bad.
Oh my gosh.
Starting my top 3 now. We've got Randall Cunningham. I'm glad that you mentioned him. I really thought you were gonna get caught up in your whole not nostalgia thing, but you didn't. He's the guy that everybody wants to sack. I don't know what else to say. You mentioned that Bills play that I was going to talk about, because that's the first thing I think about him, or think about when I think of Randall Cunningham, mainly because I'm a Bills fan, and it just hurts even seeing stuff like that. Be like, yeah.
Dude, that play hurt me when I was little, but now I watch it and I'm just like, that's
I know. It's that stuff where like you get older and you're like, I wasn't even around to see it, so it doesn't even matter.
The thing is that I'll probably look back at like the Hopkins touchdown this year on the Hail Murray or whatever, just be like, okay, Kyler Murray rolls out and like nobody really, like, they almost hit him, but they don't actually. I don't know if they never really get like a good grasp on him, and then it's just a chuck up and double coverage, and it's like, okay, he jumped higher than them, he caught it. But that Cunningham play versus that Murray play, looking back on it, it's like, that's annoying, the Murray play, and especially the timing. But if you just disregard like the timing of the play and just like the actual skill the play takes, the Cunningham play is so much more impressive than what Kyler Murray does on that play, and it's not even close. It's like I will always look at that Cunningham play as much more impressive than that Cardinals Hail Murray play.
That exactly. Yeah, he was just so athletic, man, and it really I don't want to say something they've never seen before, because I mean, you got Otto Graham and Bobby Douglas and all that. You've seen it before.
You did not. No, because
he modernized running for a quarterback.
He didn't though. Because he did it, and then nobody did it for like another 10 or 15 years. So he didn't modernize it. It was like, hey, this works. And it was like, well, you didn't win a Super Bowl. And it was like, really?
Yeah.
Really? We had this much success, and you're going to say we didn't win a Super Bowl? So
that's where it started the whole running quarterback discrimination thing.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, oh, well, he can only run. That's all. That's the only thing he's good at.
Yeah.
Sure, he threw for over 3,000 yards multiple times in his career, but he can only run.
Yeah, that's why we didn't do. That's why McNabb just stayed away. It was still going on 15 years later in the same city.
Yep.
It's just crazy that that happened. But I mean, no. And then the other thing is, like I said, you can say that Otto Graham and the other guys were like him, but they're just not.
No, I didn't mean to say that they're like him. I'm just saying that they ran before he ran. I'm not saying that they ran like him. I'm just saying that they also ran.
The play, like I said, the play on Monday Night Football is something. It is like, in terms of individual actions in sporting events, like, just not like the Beast Quake where it's like, okay, he broke like 5 tackles in a row, but it's like, if you just look at each piece of it on an individual basis, like if you look at the individual tackles broken on the Beast Quake, it's like Marshawn Lynch did pretty well, like, on breaking each one of those tackles. Like, it's a 7 or an 8 out of 10 for each of those tackles he breaks. And then some of the later tackles at the end of the play are weaker tackle attempts, so it drops it off to like a 5 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10 for a tackle attempt. So it's like, it's not that crazy that he broke that tackle since he's strong. But the Cunningham instant where he breaks that tackle, where it is literally his legs getting completely... His legs, it's not even like he's jumping and that's how his legs get pushed back. His legs get pushed back by the defender, like, clears his whole body, goes completely under his legs, and him staying up in that instance, maybe the greatest instant, like, you understand what I'm saying? The greatest exact moment in NFL history. Because at that exact moment, there was not a person in the world that was thinking, this man's going to stay on his feet.
Yes.
Can you pick another play like that, where it's just like so clear cut something is not going to happen that it's like a 10 out of 10 on a scale of jaw drop?
I can't think of something like
maybe the Ordell catch. Like, maybe. And even then, it's like, oh, there's a chance he could catch that. Like a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. But there's just no way he should stay on his feet on that Monday Night Football play. Not a chance. What did that put you at? That was a number 3. All right. You already talked about this, man. Cam Newton. We got... The thing that Cam changed versus the rest of these guys is really that we got Vic in Atlanta, and every once in a while we'd get a naked bootleg or maybe a designed quarterback run. Cam really made it so that coaches were almost allowed to finally consistently call plays where quarterbacks were allowed to keep the ball by design, and it was okay to do it. Cam was doing something that Cam was running an offense that just hadn't been ran in the NFL, at least modern. I mean, you could talk about like quarterbacks running a lot back in the 30s or 20s or something, running the option all the time or something, but I'm not going that far back. Modern era though, there's no one before Cam was getting play calls drawn up for them at the quarterback position like he was. Even Vic. If Vic was taking off, it was usually off a bootleg that was supposed to be a passing play on the bootleg. And then, or like just taking out from a shotgun play or just a straight drop back, like this is a throwing play, and if you run, you run. But I mean, Newton was doing something completely differently. And he created a new thing that we didn't have before, where it was like this huge quarterback is now the biggest threat inside the opposing team's 10-yard line. Like, him running with the ball is more dangerous than anything else on the field. Handing it to the running back, tossing it to the running back, throwing the ball itself. Like, the quarterback running is now our biggest fear. And it's completely different from any thinking that we had before. And that's why he leads the NFL history in rushing touchdowns. And even though Lamar Jackson is rushing for a lot of yards each year, I'm really hesitant if Cam Newton plays a long time. And if Lamar Jackson and Cam Newton play the same amount of time, that's basically what I'm getting at here, I can still see a world where Cam Newton still has more rushing touchdowns by Lamar Jackson, maybe even by a long shot. If Lamar Jackson plays a lot longer than Cam Newton does, then maybe it's different. But year for year, in terms of games played, I would bet Cam Newton scores more touchdowns per game than Lamar Jackson will rushing.
Okay.
Does that mean I am talking about number 2, or what are we?
Yes, that does mean you are talking about number 2 now.
Okay. We both have the same guys for our top 2, right? Like this isn't.
I believe so.
This unless.
I would hope so.
Unless you kept Lamar and Vic off your list, right? You didn't leave either of them off, did you?
We'll see when we get there. Just, move on.
Okay. You're not saying that you did, so I'm hoping you didn't. Yeah, it's kind of sad to say because of the nostalgia thing. The nostalgia thing makes it so much more fun to think about what Michael Vick did. And I guess the other part of it is that Michael Vick just had an absolute cannon of an arm, which was absolutely amazing to watch. But Michael Vick is my number 2, and he's not my number 1. Vick did what Cunningham did in that he would make guys miss in ways we had never seen, and then take off for amazing touchdown runs, like the overtime touchdown winner against Minnesota. Or he has this really long one where he takes one up the sideline against the Saints, or the sack he ducks under against the Miami Dolphins. And it's just like countless plays that are like Cunningham in that same manner of how did he do that? Sad thing is, I really don't think he ever got that like perfect scenario where he got that like 10 out of 10 play. That Vikings overtime run, in terms of rushing the football from the quarterback position, is pretty near perfect. But could it be better? Probably like 8 or 9 out of 10. But still not that Cunningham 10 out of 10. How did he do that thing? Like, it was like, all right, that was awesome, but it wasn't like the best. It wasn't the greatest thing we had ever seen. It was awesome. It was amazing. Can't doubt that. But he just couldn't recreate that initial Cunningham shock factor with like, how did he do that? But he was doing everything on a week-to-week basis that it was like, as an overall performance, it's like this is nothing we had ever seen before. And with how consistent he was rushing the football and running it for huge yardage and breaking these long runs, just making people look silly, like the Packers defender in the playoffs when he shakes him off and then runs. And even once he got to Philadelphia, doing the same thing. And even when he's like late in his career, and it's like he's only coming into games as a backup in New York and Pittsburgh, and he's still making plays with his legs, and it's just an absolute treat to watch, and you just never want it to end. It's like, why does this guy have to leave the league someday? You'll miss him forever, and just gotta appreciate his time for while he's here. And when we talk about the next guy, I guess that's another thing to talk about. It's just that you really have to appreciate the time you have with them, because you really don't think about how much fun it was to see them until they're gone.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go now, and I'm going to say I have Lamar Jackson at 2. Back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons for him. He does phenomenal things in that offense, and like stuff that we've never seen before with the quarterback. It just is so funny to me that the more and more the NFL is going towards passing and just air raid, the Ravens have just decided, nope, we are going to run the ball with our quarterback 160 plus times a season, and we're going to see what happens. And only good things have happened for them. So he is going to end his career as one of the greats, and like right now he's already giving Vic a run for his money as the best running quarterback of all time. By the end of his career, I can almost guarantee he'll be the best running quarterback in the NFL. Like, you already think that. So yeah, there's not really enough you can say about Lamar Jackson. He's so good.
Yep. Give me your number one.
Number one is a guy that is renowned. Every NFL fan loves him. That's Aaron Brooks. His cousin, Michael Vick.
Oh my gosh. No, make the argument for Aaron Brooks. I like it better.
I don't have an argument for Aaron Brooks. I have an argument for Aaron Brooks' cousin, Michael Vick.
No.
I don't have an argument for Aaron Brooks.
You're cutting out. I'm hearing Aaron Brooks over and over again.
No.
Tell me why Aaron Brooks is so good.
I had this joke written out since today. I found out Aaron Brooks was Michael Vick's cousin. I had that joke thought out at like noon. I had this joke thought out.
Okay, well, great joke. I wasn't expecting you. I wasn't expecting you to make a joke at all, so cool.
Yeah, Vic is revolutionary. I've said that about every single guy, so it's just getting old, but he so good. Just is
he good? He's good?
I don't know, dude. I don't know what to say. You already talked about him. It's hard to add more to the conversation after you said something about him. He is probably the most elusive quarterback in NFL history. Had a cannon for an arm, which I know we're not talking about throwing ability, but geez. He's so great.
Okay, you want me to add on to the conversation about Lamar Jackson then?
Yeah.
Okay. Lamar Jackson.
Wait, you have Lamar at 1? You don't have Aaron Brooks?
No, I don't. Aaron Brooks missed my list by probably only about an extra 20 spots or so. Maybe an extra 100, but like he was right there. He was on the brink. No, Lamar Jackson is my top guy, and you talk about yards per attempt. Just think about that. 160 attempts for 1,000 yards. That's like if you're at 150, you're doing like, what is that, like at least 7.5 yards per carry? I mean, that's just outrageous. And he's carrying the ball that many times and able to run that effectively. That is absolutely insane. Plus, I think, like I said about Kyler Murray has the best acceleration we've seen. When Lamar Jackson hits his top speed, I think he may be the fastest quarterback we've ever seen. It's hard to compare it directly to Vic, but I think they're neck and neck. And I think Vic, it's just so hard to compare these two. But when it's all said and done, Lamar is going to be miles ahead of Vic in terms of how many yards rushing he has. Even if that's just in terms, we had those seasons that we missed Vic in the middle of his career. Even if it's just in terms of yards rushing per season, I'm pretty sure Lamar is still going to be blowing Vic out of the water. Like, it's not even close. Lamar is rushing for so many more yards than Vic ever will. And he's just got to... I don't even know. Like you said, Vic has the cannon, but Lamar doesn't have it. But we're only talking about rushing here. And
Yeah.
what
Vic had in his arm, Lamar just doubled down on having it in his legs.
Yeah, and I mean, he doesn't have that size combination that Vic and Josh Allen have, but he's not small like Kyler Murray either. Like, he's kind of that perfect medium, and he's got the speed and the elusiveness to make almost anyone miss. I mean, the play where he gets Matt Milano, who plays him perfectly, to just fall over while Matt Milano's not even moving. And if you're not a Bills fan, you probably don't know how great Matt Milano is as a player, and somebody else's fan base surely will be finding out quite soon how good he is, because he'll end up on your team and you'll be like, holy crap, who's that guy? And you'll have to look in your pamphlet to find out and be like, oh my gosh, wow, he's pretty freaking good. But I mean, he just makes him fall over like extremely talented other players that he just makes look silly and then can point at after and be like, and I mean, you literally have visions in your head remembering him do that to people. So it's like, I don't think I ever saw Vic do that. Vic made some guys look silly, but never just that easily.
Never just crumbled a man.
It was never just like, oh, this is a cakewalk. Like, we're done here.
Yeah.
We're done here.
Yeah.
It's one-on-one, and if the defender, it's one-on-one. There's only a foot of space to each side of the defender for him to get through, and I still like Lamar's chances.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh wow, that's insane. And the craziest part is when, like, you just don't want to see the guy slide. One thing that I wanted to mention about really appreciating Lamar while he's in the league is, like, we'll have Patrick Mahomes for a very long time in this league. And Patrick Mahomes will be able to play in this league for a very long time, because even once his legs go on him and his athletic ability goes downhill, he'll be able to keep his game at least slightly similar to how he wants to play it. Probably until he's at least 40 years old. And then if he wants to play past 40, like Brady and Breeze and whatever, he may have to refine it a bit more. And I think he could do that at that point because he would have enough experience. Lamar, on the other hand, Lamar is young, right? Lamar is one of the young bucks.
He's like
right?
23.
Yeah. So we'll have him a decent amount longer. But just realize, like, for his play style, if his play style stays the same way, where he's running the ball and it's a key part of his game to keep him a threat to the defense, if Lamar gets to like 34 years old and is still playing the same style of like him consistently running with the football in his arms,
It'll be insane.
we have to, yeah, we'll have to really appreciate that. So I I mean, we could see Patrick Mahomes play another 20 years. We may only get another solid 10 years of Lamar Jackson, and it'll be fun while we get to see it, but it'll be gone really quickly because there was a time where I thought, "Oh, it's 2010. What, Vic's 28 or 29 years old? Like I'll get to see like prime Vic for a while here now." And then, stuff happens and Vic has to leave the Eagles and he goes to other teams and he still gets in once in a while as a backup, but before we knew it, Vic was in the league another 6 years for 2010 to 2015 in that time period I'm talking about, right? May have been one more season than that. I think it was 2015 was his last year, may have been 2016. So 6 or 7 years from that time period I said, and it was gone like that. It was like that snap, if you can hear that snap, was just gone so quickly. Gotta appreciate it while it's here, because guys that play certain brands of football are not going to be around forever. I think that's why we're moving away from a lot of power backs. I mean, we're not going to see a power back stick around in the league for years and years to come. Move to more elusive backs and getting the defense spread out and seeing that we can get guys around long term that we really like. Stuff like that.
Yep.
Just fuel for thought.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You got an outro planned?
Nope.
No? You don't?
Nope.
Anything else?
Nah, I think we could just cut it here.